It's official. Senate Republicans are going nuclear to get some of the president's nominees confirmed. They formally got the ball rolling on a change to the rules that drastically speeds up the nomination process by removing the roadblock put up by Democrats.
For the latest on what this nuclear option actually is and what it means for the fight over nominees and possibly a government shutdown, we're joined by the one, the only, the Hill's Drew Petrimo. Good morning, Drew.
The one, the only. I like that.
Well,
it's true.
In the building, at least. So let's start here. What is the nuclear option? We've heard this phrase used multiple times over the past few years. What's happening now?
Let's take a 30,000-foot view to start out with. This is basically a 2-decade-long tit-for-tat fight that has been happening in the Senate. Once known as the world's greatest deliberative body, I guess it still has that name, but they haven't been able to get along more and more going back to, when Barack Obama was president. At that point, Harry Reid first changed the rules to allow for presidential nominees to go through without meeting the 60-vote threshold for filibuster.
Something they've regretted ever since, no doubt.
Continued under Mitch McConnell in President Trump's first term. Democrats then used those rules when Biden was president. This is just kind of a further escalation where the resistance to the president from the opposition party is so strong that they're unwilling to allow even non-controversial nominees to go through. And this latest step will allow them to, Republicans to approve President Trump's lower-level nominees and mid-level nominees in big groups and bypass Democratic resistance.
So how does that actually happen?
So right now there's a big backlog of these nominees. A lot of them are low, mid-level executive nominees and also some ambassadorships. Each nominee has 2 hour, Democrats can require 2 hours of debate and basically log jam and slow floor time. And kind of what Democrats are doing, they have very little power in this town. This is one thing they can do to slow the president's agenda. They want to show their base that they are fighting. So they can drag out the debate time and the procedural hurdles that each of these nominees need, even if some of them are relatively non-controversial. Now Republicans are saying, we're not going to allow you to do that. We're going to batch all these people together and get them through.
So Majority Leader John Thune got this process started yesterday. So we're expecting a procedural vote on Thursday for this resolution. The rule change finalized by early next week, and then we could get our first vote on that first tranche of nominees. Let's listen to Majority Leader Thune as to why he did this in order to end obstruction by Democrats.
Mr. President, 8 months of petty partisanship is long enough. Democrats have dragged out the process of every single nominee, even on nominees they ended up voting for by large margins. It's Trump derangement syndrome on steroids.
And just to put a finer point on it, let's go ahead and bring up the numbers. This is from the Brookings Institute, and they looked at the first 200 days of a president's term. You see there the 200th day for Trump's current president, this was August 7th. By this point in George W. Bush's term, he had 240 nominees confirmed. Obama had 238. The first Trump term had 89, Biden 88. And then the Trump second term, 90. So when you talk about this tit for tat that's been going on for years, you see how it got worse from Trump to Biden and back to Trump.
You can see really in that graph where the partisanship started and how it continued. And Republicans used some of these same tactics when President Biden was president. Democrats say they're returning the favor now. The argument from Democrats and Chuck Schumer is that the nominees coming from the Trump administration are historically unqualified from the Democratic perspective, excuse me. And so they want to give increased scrutiny to each of these nominees. Again, some of them have received votes in committee, so they're not all controversial. Mm-hmm. It's important to note cabinet level positions, appellate courts, those considered to be higher level aren't included in this as of yet. So yeah, this is just, again, it continues the tit for tat that we've seen in the Senate over the last 2 decades.
So you mentioned the Senate Minority Leader. Let's see what he had to say about this.
Republicans would rather change how the Senate operates to weaken this chamber's traditional and powerful sense of deliberation. And if Republicans go nuclear, the historically bad nominees we've seen so far under Donald Trump will get only worse. We will not enable Republicans' carnage of this country. We won't bail Republicans out as the cost of health care, groceries, school supplies, rent, electricity, automobiles all go up and up and up. We still have some time to avoid that dismal outcome.
Well, of course, that's how he and the Democrats feel, but clearly the Republicans don't feel that way. They felt pushed into this.
Yeah, I think that it's what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and both sides keep on going back and forth with this strategy. It'll be interesting to see. It's kind of similar what we're going to see with this fight over government funding. You know, Republicans need Democratic votes. They would like to see the government stay open, but they also want to fight and show their base that they're resisting the Trump presidency.
We'll talk more about the shutdown aspect of all this in our next hour when we see you.
Alrighty.
Appreciate it, as always.